So, Ian, how do you access the CU Podcast Patreon poll?
So I got to tell you before I do this, I should have brought them, but I got a letter the other day.
You got a letter?
That's right. From a listener at work. It came to me at work, and it was a very nice letter. The person, just said, thanks for all you do. Love the podcast.
So long. Thanks for all the fish.
And they said, I've included something to help you during your tough times during the Patreon segment. And this person had peeled off a chunk of about 20 Post-it notes and had written down the Patreon webpage on every Post-it note. Yep, so I could stick them around here. I don't have them with me. But on each of those Post-it notes, it did say www.patreon.com/CU podcast. That's how that's how you access.
With the World Wide Web.
With the www.
Which you don't need anymore. Most websites, 99% of websites, you don't need that anymore. They sort of lock that off.
Actually, there might have even been the HTTP. I'd have to check.
//
Yeah, it might have been there.
That's good. And there, Ian, you can access the full video form of the podcast, monthly hangouts with him, and then, oh my God, I forgot to post you completed on Saturday. I didn't post your weekly writing yet. I got to get that to the podcast.
Well, there it is.
So we'll have another one in a few days, and then we'll get back on schedule. So you get Ian's weekly writings, which hopefully we get on Thursday, so I can remember to post them because
boom boom.
So this poll topic in third place was thoughts on 20 years of Half-Life. 20%. Wow, no one cares about Half-Life. I almost put it as a regular topic. We don't care about Half-Life that much.
I don't really care about Half-Life.
I've
heard it's a very good game.
You never played it? One of the most important games ever. Sorry, Norm. Is Half-Life, and its impact is felt in every first-person shooter from that point forward. And it's a shame we'll probably never get a true Half-Life 3. What 5 games would you put in your personal arcade? Brought it back 27% and made second place. And number 1 with a bullet at 53%. What was the strangest way you acquired a video game as a child?
My mom bought me Hudson Hawk for the Nintendo at a deli.
I got to hear the story. It was at a deli sold NES games?
So...
Is that right?
The deli, as far as I remember it, the grocery store that I went, one of the grocery stores we went to as a kid, had, it was a small one, and in the deli section, there was a small rack of Nintendo games that you used to be able to rent from. There was like a video counter. It was mostly a deli.
It was like a circular rack.
But there was a circular rack. It was like a circular comics rack.
With just cartridges on it.
With, like little cards for the cartridges.
Okay, which is funny because one of the earliest retro gaming stores I used to visit in New Jersey, I believe it was Garwood. It probably still ran. They had records and CDs, and they would have the same thing. They would have it with the real games in it. They had the twirling rack where you put magazines or comic books for NES games.
And so it was like, this was the deli section, and that's all it was. It was just one rack games, and it had one rack with VHS tapes. And that was their rental section.
It was just like 20 to 30 movies that they bought.
We're talking like 15, like each. And they would just,
almost an honor system. They didn't have a system of...
It was like they would change it out every once in a while, and you took it up to like this little side counter next to the, where you pull your tag and you order your fucking olive loaf and your Dutch loaf and your fucking loaf.
What's a Dutch loaf?
I don't know. It's a fucking lunch meat of some sort, popular in the Northeast, I guess.
Once you get to olive loaf, I'm out with that head cheese stuff. And
So, and then, the one day we were there and, we're getting lunch meat and stuff like that. And there's a small basket on top of the deli counter. And I remember there was a copy of Growl in there.
Growl?
For the Genesis.
Okay, I don't know.
That Taito beat 'em up where you beat up poachers.
Oh, I think I own that. Just because it was cool. And I hate poachers.
Yep. I hate poachers too. And
do I own that? I'm sorry, go on.
And then there was a copy of Hudson Hawk in one of those fold-over plastic
ones,
rental cases with the instruction man,
I have like 40 of those in the garage.
Yeah. And
instruction man?
Yeah, whatever. He had a name. He had a name.
Who made those, I wonder?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, Nintendo games. My mom's like, yeah. She picks it up out of the basket, and the woman said something like, those are, extras, or those are ones we don't need anymore, ones that we're replacing. So my mom bought me Hudson Hawk for whatever it was.
You remember how much it was?
Probably like $5.
With no box, just in the clamshell.
Yeah,
with
just
the
in the clamshell.
Not even the cutout, where they cut out part of the box and put it on the front.
No, it was just...
I have Star Trek Next Generation. Like
it was literally just like, it was like, okay, we're done renting this, we're replacing it, I guess.
Because who would have rented Hudson Hawk more than once, first of all?
And I just remember her getting it in the same transaction. It's like a pound of salami. So
one-stop shopping at your local deli.
Yeah.
Get a sandwich, get a pound of roast beef, and get a shitty NES game for how much do you think it was?
I think it was probably like $5.
That's damn good. That's like, because that's how much it used to cost sometimes to rent for a weekend, like $3-4.
We did not have money when I was growing up, and for my mom to make an impulse purchase on a Nintendo game we had never played before, it could not have been expensive.
And you think that was the only one there?
It literally, what I remember seeing, now I was short, but what I remember seeing was Hudson Hawk and Growl, specifically.
How old were you at the time?
I was probably 10.
Should have got that Growl with a little money. I do own it without the manual, by the way. So my situation isn't where you can get lunch meats. But so in the summers, this would have been summer of, I want to say summer of 89 it probably was, not 88. Let's check a certain NES guide app. This will help me with the story. And I've told the story before. I don't think in this much detail. I've mentioned it. But if not, sorry. This is my weirdest
story.
It's my weirdest story. So in the summers back in New Jersey, chubby, plucky Pat and his mom would visit 3 different flea market stores in the week. There was one on Tuesday and Thursday. A church did it. And then there was a couple more. One was an Italian-American club where I ended up getting my first LG and rubber WBF figures. Like I remember got Iron Sheik and like Andre the Giant with the long hair version. Short hair version is hard to find. And got a few others. We would hit those up. Okay? But then there was this weird dirt one.
Version.
The Fro version from the 70s. Yeah. But then there was a very weird flea market within literally eye shot of the New Jersey State Prison, formerly Rahway State Prison. So we would go there, and it was one of those outdoor, like, English town flea markets where there was, like, benches set up to put up your stuff, like tables. You'd walk down the dirt path, like, with gravel.
Sure.
Every state has a flea market like this. But then you also had, like, the little mini storefronts. Yeah. I don't remember much from this flea market. We went there probably 5 to 10 times. But I do remember this story. I remember this... not necessarily sketchy, but this guy probably is, when you're a kid, everyone seems like they're ancient, but he was probably in his 50s. I want to say mid 50s. He had glasses. He almost looked like the dad from You Can't Do That on Television, kind of. Les Wiseman. Is that his name? Les Wiseman? Do I have that right? If I know his name, that's great. Who's Les Wiseman? No, that's someone else. That's someone from Underworld. Okay, I'm totally off on that. There is a Les Wiseman. Anyway, so we go up to this guy who he's a little bit grumbly, a little bit quiet. And he has, which I didn't know at the time, but I now know is a shipping box of Jaws NES games, new. There was, I don't know how many was in there still, 5 or 6. 6 is in a shipping box. And my first thing as a kid, I'm looking at it, I'm like, how does this guy have new Nintendo games? That's not possible to have that. And so, of course, my mom tried to be a good mom. We didn't have a ton of money either. We were middle class. You know, we didn't go on vacations outside the Jersey Shore. I got maybe 2 or 3 new video games a year, and Christmas and, birthday. So it's a big deal to see a new NES game, even if it's Jaws, which I hadn't played before. I probably saw it in Nintendo Power. So my mom asked, how much is that? From the guy. And the guy, I believe it was $10. Keep in mind, the cheapest NES game you can get at the time was probably $35 or $40 in $1989, which today is like double that, right? So, of course, my mom didn't ask the question. She bought me one, not knowing if it was good or not. And, of course, not asking if it was most likely stolen, because it was stolen. It was stolen. Sorry, guy who's probably dead by now who was selling them back then. You don't pick up Jaws shipping boxes and then sell them at your flea market for $10 each. They fell off the back of a truck. I like how they probably fell out of the prison within eye shot. Someone tossed them out of the prison.
He got hit in the head with a box of prison Jaws.
Yeah, he said, hey, sell these for me. I traded them for a carton of cigarettes and tossed them out.
I like how both your mom and my mom bought us Nintendo games on the merit of them being cheap and cheap.
But when you're a kid, though, that's a huge deal.
Yeah, it is. My Hudson Hawk, like I said, could not have been more than 10. I'm guessing 5 if my mom just made an impulse purchase with us not having any money. Same thing with $10.
So Jaws, Jaws came out, according to a certain NES guide, November 87. So this must have been summer of 88. So it was still probably available for sale by then. I was 8 years old. I just had the NES in for like 6 months at this point. 7 months I had it. And I got the game, and I liked the game.
I like Jaws.
You didn't like Hudson Hawk, but I...
No, I always... I think it's even in the guidebook. I think I talk about how I really like the first level of Hudson Hawk. I think it's fantastic. The first level is
Jaws
great.
is a fine game. I give it 3 stars.
I like Jaws.
Certain NES guidebook. An app that, check it out, it's getting updated. Big updates coming in 2019.
Is Jaws an LJN?
Yeah.
That's easily my favorite.
But it was
LJN.
developed by, I believe, Atlas.
Yeah.
Was it Atlas?
No,
West One Bit Entertainment. I don't know what else they did. Atlas did some other ones. Anyway, so that's my weird story. The prison Jaws. I should have kept it because by now, according to that, we're worth $152 brand new instead of $10 back at that flea market, probably in the summer of 88. So that's my weird story. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Thanks to my mom for taking a chance. However, though, my mom did screw up once, and I remember crying about it. I was a kid. I said I wanted Contra, and she bought me Kung Fu, and that's in the book. My mom confused Contra and Kung Fu. I guess because they all have a C type of sounding first letter. So.
I had to look it up. It's what I thought. Westone or Weststone.
Weststone?
I think. It's there who did Wonder Boy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's my weird story. So check out patreon.com/podcast. We don't need to stick a notes to remember that right now. So anyway.